spacewalks is a $2 billion science experiment to determine the origins of the universe. When that rocket goes up and you think, oh my God, my son is in that. Go out in space. So already. Don't know. We're gonna find out what the Star Wars original series, all episodes coming up towards the actual Disney Plus.
Hello, Bernadette.
Hello, sorry, I was chewing.
That's okay. Hi, Bill. Hello, Ted.
Hey, Bill.
Evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Ted.
Mayor, I thought we did better yesterday than I thought we would.
I did too. I really thought they were going to get blown out more. But the Union won.
I don't know much about soccer.
They won right afterwards. They played very well.
Ooh, wait 1 second. I gotta go turn that air conditioner off. That's a little too cold.
Mayor, I have a question for you and Bill Kirshner. We're going to need Bill
hold on.
Kirshner.
Wait, I'm just reminding you, this is recorded.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to need Bill Kirshner for executive session. When we're done with his report, do we want him to simply be available so we can call him for executive session?
However he wants to do it. Do you want to do it that way, Bill?
That's fine.
Okay, so somebody has your number?
I know John has it, Ted has it.
Okay,
I mean,
I don't know that I have a number where I can reach you, Bill.
you have my cell phone, so that's sitting
I
right
think
here
I do
next to
too.
me.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have to stay on for the rest of the meeting. We'll
Okay.
call you.
When you call me, should I jump back on via Zoom?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't know if, Rita, are you able to let him in to executive session once we've already gone?
No, so he's gonna have to stay.
All right,
He's
I'll
gonna-
just I'll stay attached and I'll just turn off my video, and then when you text me, I'll turn it back on.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, so I can eat dinner.
Can everybody see my dinner?
Tic Tacs?
Yeah. Coffee and Tic Tacs.
That's not good, Ted.
No, it's
It used
not.
it used to be cigarettes, coffee, and Tic Tacs.
Okay.
That's more of a breakfast, Ted.
You are a pillar of health.
John, you too admire my dinner, don't you?
It's more than I've had for dinner, so, you know.
I'm getting there. Oh, where did I say that? John, I need those.
What's that, Rita?
Those pillows.
Oh,
So we're waiting for Farah and Tim.
Farah's here. I mean, no, Laura's here. Farah's, yeah, waiting for Farah and Tim.
just text both of them. But we have enough to start, don't we?
You need 4.
I have 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we have 4. So why don't we start, and the other 2 will join us. Ted, you ready? Rita, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The council caucus meeting of the Borough Council of the Borough of Palmyra is hereby called to order at 6:34. Roll call, please.
Mr. Almond,
Present.
Dr. Cloud,
Here.
Mrs. Jenkins, Mrs. McCann,
Here.
Mrs. Russell,
Here.
President Howard,
He's here. Tim. Unmute yourself.
Here. There we go.
Mayor
Okay.
Tate.
Here. And Farah says she's going to be 10 minutes late. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag,
of the United
United
States
States of America and to the
and
republic,
for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with
with
liberty and justice for all.
all.
Thank you. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and J.S.A.10, semicolon 4-6, etc., and in consideration of Executive Order Number 103, issued by Governor Murphy on March 9, 2020, declaring a state of emergency and a public health emergency in the state of New Jersey. Please be advised that the Borough of Palmyra does hereby notify the public that to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens and to reduce the potential spread of COVID-19 and its variants while ensuring the continued function of government, the meeting of the mayor and council will be a virtual council meeting. Members of the public are invited to attend the virtual council meeting, via computer or phone, but all members of the public participating in the meeting virtually may be muted and the video image disabled. Notice of this meeting was published in the Burlington County Times on January 12, 2021. Notice was posted on the municipal door, the office bulletin board, and the electronic signs on September 21st, 2021. Notice was also posted on the Borough of Palmyra website on October 1st, 2021, and notice was given to all council members. Has everyone gotten a chance to look at the minutes from Monday, September 20th? Any questions? Then may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Almond,
Yes.
Dr. Cloud,
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins, Mrs. McCann,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
Yes.
President Howard.
Thank.
Thank you. Rita, do we have any correspondence?
I have one piece of correspondence, and it is a letter of resignation. Dear Chief, please accept this letter as notice that I will be resigning from my position as patrolman with the Palmyra Police Department 2 weeks from today. My last day with the borough will be October 11th, 2021. Thank you for the support and the opportunities you have provided me over the course of the last couple of years. You and Lieutenant Murphy have been very helpful during my time here, and I appreciate it. If there's anything you need, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, thank you for everything, and thank you for allowing me to serve your department. Officer Oscar Rubio, Jr.
Okay, I believe we need an all in favor to accept the resignation letter.
Motion?
A motion.
Um,
So moved to accept the
okay, thank you.
resignation letter. Mhm.
Second.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Redevelopment, Route 73 South redevelopment area update, John.
Certainly, Your Honor. First up, the redeveloper, given recent administrative changes to the site plan, has to make some essentially minor amendments or adjustments to the subdivision plan that was previously approved. It's relatively minor. It's an internal thing where they're adjusting property lines, things of that sort. And the information is in your packet. But in order to do so, this is something that cannot be amended, administratively. So in order to do so, part of our agreements requires that any submission to the land use board must first go through borough council. And if you agree, then they'll make application. And again, this is pretty straightforward. It's just an adjustment to the subdivision plan, change of boundaries. And, I forwarded the information to everybody. It also shows the adjusted warehouse given the new proposed, it may not, it does show the adjusted the boundaries, property lines, and that's pretty minor. But the warehouse is about almost 30% smaller than originally proposed. And that's related to all of the various setbacks and site conditions that we've been discussing. So if everybody's fine with that, we can let them know that they can apply to the land use board for the amended subdivision.
Okay, do we need a vote on that, John, or just,
I would ask Ted. I don't think there's any harm in taking the vote. I don't know that it's necessary. I would ask Ted though, or Andrew.
I would say yes, because they do need your approval, and then typically acts by motion or resolution.
okay, so it would be resolution number,
Did you say we could do that by motion?
Yes.
So we don't have to have a resolution, we can just do
okay. Okay,
Which is fine.
then can I have a motion to send the boundaries adjustments to the land use board?
So move to what Gina said.
I second the motion to send the information to land use board.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,
There's also a couple of memos. I'm sorry, Your Honor, did I interrupt?
Nope, go ahead.
There's a couple of memos in your packet about the status of the case management conference and the issues with the affordable housing litigation, frankly, is what I want to say. Ted has provided a memo. Kelly Grant, who, by the way, just had a baby, also provided a
Aw,
memo.
congratulations.
I will let her know that. And it's moving along pretty quickly at this point. There's really nothing for us yet to talk about, but I don't know if there's anything else to add to that, Ted or Andrew, at this point.
I don't believe so.
Yeah. So that's just all the various documents are in your packet. You can read up on that. It's again, we're just an extension of our ongoing negotiations with Fair Share Housing, but it's moving in a positive direction. And I think that's all I have for Route 73 South redevelopment area updates, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And the at-will training, Andrew, I see a memo in here from you.
Yes, we filed the litigation a while ago because the outlaw was extremely deficient on taxes and the escrow and moving forward. And I think it's fair to say that filing the litigation has moved them along, got them pretty much back on track. They've made payments toward both the escrow and the taxes. And I think they've met with John about coming on and seeking their approval. And they've also now agreed that by on or before the 18th, which is your next meeting, they will have come current with the taxes and the escrow. So they're pretty much they'll be back on track.
Sounds great. Thank you, Andrew. And C-Box, anything in reference to C-Box?
Nothing at all, Your Honor.
Okay. And Andrew, do you have any professional updates?
I do not, other than what you got already. Thank you. Your
Okay,
Honor.
great. You have a good night. Bill Kirshner?
Okay, Temple Boulevard. Right now, we are down to some punch list items and the installation of signs, including the pedestrian crossing flashing sign that goes at Delaware and Temple. And that would conclude that project. I believe there is some more to discuss about that regarding contract negotiations, which I think the solicitor already alluded to would be discussed in executive session. Fifth and Race is essentially complete again, except for some punch list items out there. Also, as that project was overdue, it would be contract negotiations that I believe will be discussed in executive session. The 2021 road program is moving along well. They've pretty much completed New Jersey Avenue, the work on Charles and Park in preparation for the water company. I actually had a meeting with the water company in another town last week. They're getting me a schedule for the completion of their work within the borough. However, they still have some pipe work to do that's been held up by some of the county road opening permits. So I fear they may not be ready to pave till spring, but I'm waiting to get the response from them. And I hope to have an idea from our contractor on the 2020 road program when paving of New Jersey Avenue might occur. I'm going to predict it'll be within the next month. On the parking sign inventory for the downtown commercial area, we've completed the inventory of the existing signs and shared that information with John, Public Works, and the chief. And now we're going to set up a meeting to go over the modifications that are required to bring the existing signage into conformance with your new ordinance. And it's my understanding Veterans Park, the pre-construction meeting was this past Wednesday. The contractor indicated he'd be starting within the next 2 weeks, and he had no issue with completing within the 30 days. Though I was not in personal attendance at the meeting, I know Councilman Alman was there, so he can certainly add to it if I'm missing anything. But I believe that should be, again, started within the next 2 weeks. And I think that's all I had on my list, unless there was anything else that John wanted me to
I have one question.
Yes.
When's Spring Garden gonna be done?
At this point, Spring Garden with the DOT approval, I envision bidding it over the winter and doing it first thing in the spring.
I got a question for you, Bill.
Yes, sir.
You might already handle this because I haven't been back over on 5th Street. But you know, when we do the slips for the residents, we give them their slip and it brings it up to their driveway. The apron, I'm sorry, apron. Yes, apron.
Okay.
I'm thinking boots all day.
Yeah, you threw me there. Okay, when we do the aprons for the residents, yes.
Yeah, I seen a couple of residents where the apron came up and then it was a drop down like about probably 6 inches and then it was a driveway. How are we gonna fix that? Or we're gonna like blend a dip?
You mean on the back side of their apron?
Yeah, right at the sidewalk that ran into their driveway.
Yeah, basically, if there was a drop off behind it, we would, transition that in. In some instances, though, we actually put back driveway aprons that had dips behind them, so there was really nothing. I mean, we put it back where it was. But if you want to shoot me the specific address you're concerned with, I'll go take a look at it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have questions for Bill? No? All right, thank you, Bill.
All right.
Reports, do we have someone from the Board of Education for the liaison? I
I don't believe we have anyone here from the Board of Ed, and both of our student reps had some school commitments this evening.
Okay. All right, then that brings us to Mr. David Steinberg from NRG. He's here to talk to us about the transportation of liquid gas. Mr. Steinberg?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Is it possible that I could share a PowerPoint with everybody here?
Nope, can't do that.
Now,
Okay, well, I'll just have to do a little bit differently, that's all.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, I can start it?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
great, fantastic. Okay, just give me one moment, please.
No, you can't. If you're trying to share your screen,
Yes,
no, you can't do that.
I can't do it, okay. All right, in that case, just bear with me one moment. I'm going to share this with you. Even though you can't see it, I'm going to certainly do my best to present some pictures with words. I know you need 1,000 words to get the point across, but I'm going to attempt to do it differently.
I wanted to let you know I did send all the information that you sent me to council twice. So
Okay.
they have read it, and I'm hoping that they'll take what you have to say and ask any questions.
Well, okay, I certainly appreciate your kindness with that. Very, very important. Okay, let me just start where I'll give you an overview of the project itself. The proposed plant, export plant to foreign countries is down in Gibbstown, New Jersey. But where it starts is in Northeast Pennsylvania, northwest of Scranton and Wilkesboro, in a crazy sounding town. This is the name of the town. I'm not making this up. It's called Why You Losing? Why You Losing, Pennsylvania. There are truck routes and there are train routes. I'm going to focus more on the train because that is what's nearest to Palmyra. As far as the trains are concerned, it goes through Scranton, Wilkesboro, Allentown, Norristown, Philadelphia, Pennsauken, Camden, Gloucester, Woodbury, all through a bunch of other little towns, all the way to Gibbstown, New Jersey. Now, it's my understanding that when the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has permitted 2 100 rail cars per train twice a day. In other words, one at one time of day, one at another time of the day, but they don't specify whether it could be in the daytime or nighttime or neither or both. That's 365 days a year, except for leap year, of course. And so the question comes up is, what are the chances of an accident? Now, I know we rely a lot on technology. Our society is built on it, but nevertheless, things do happen, and as we all understand. In the last week or so, I believe an Amtrak went off the tracks in Montana, and there were 3 fatalities. In California, just the other day, near Manhattan Beach, as of 9 o'clock this morning, approximately 12 to 15 square miles of ocean and many miles of beaches has also been affected by dead fish and birds as well. Now, liquefied natural gas, a better way of describing that is simply call it what it is, and that's methane. It's methane. It's a uniquely dangerous substance. It's a gas that must be super pressurized and super cooled to minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. Therefore, it has to be stored and transported in very specialized containers, some of which have not even been built as yet. Now, if for some reason it leaks, methane immediately expands to 680 times its liquid volume into a dense, colorless, odorless vapor cloud. The cloud will not rise up into the air, but instead will stay on the ground and can cause asphyxiation to any living animal or human being within a couple miles of the incident, depending on the direction of the wind. Now, vapor cloud from leaked methane can travel great distances, depending on wind currents, making evacuation of the area extremely difficult to manage, perhaps impossible. The possible impact area, I said possible impact area, is within 1 to 2 miles of the accident, but that depends again on the wind. But evacuation has never been done before in a highly populated area. This will be the very first time that's in the history of our country that's going to be done. It's also very volatile. So if ignited, methane can burn in a fire about 1,000 degrees, which is way too hot to be extinguished. And the problem is, how can first responders fight it when they can't even get near it? Now, as you know, there have been a number of oil train fires. Methane is not oil. Now, God forbid there's an explosion of only 22 liquefied natural gas, what I would term bomb trains, would have the equivalent force of a Hiroshima atomic bomb. When I first heard that, it scared me. It really scared me, the power that is there. And with the 100-car trains, a carelessly tossed cigarette or hot muffler, and you can do the math on that one. I'm not even going to go that one. It's easy to figure. Now, a liquefied natural gas ship, I've heard various estimates anywhere from 55 or 62 times the force that made Japan surrender. And it doesn't really matter what the actual number is. That is big. That is horrible, because even if something happened down in Gibbstown, that certainly would affect Palmyra and many other towns in between and even beyond as well. I can't even imagine something like this, and I'm sure it's very difficult for you to imagine as well. In Boston, where they have liquefied natural gas tankers, the tankers, by the way, are being in pipelines to Boston Harbor. So when an LNG tanker moves down the river, National Guard closes the bridges until it's safely out to sea. Can you imagine? Can you imagine closing the Delaware Memorial Bridges and the Commodore Barry Bridge, because these are the bridges nearby? And it's interesting that Philadelphia Airport is only about 3 miles away, and it's all wide open. There's nothing really to stop anything there. There's never been a transport of methane by rail anywhere in the country. Approval of the rail cars has been extremely rushed, and the rail routes that are being used, some are over tracks, some of which are over 100 years old. The National Fire Protection Association is strongly against shipping LNG or methane by rail. There's an article published in their journal back in March of 2020. I'm going to quote a short excerpt from that, and then I'll move on. The proposal to allow bulk shipments of liquefied natural gas on U.S. railroads has sparked criticism, stoked fears about public safety, and raised concerns among first responders. How should the safety community prepare for what's next? Last October, meaning 2019, a few dozen hazmat chiefs, fire commissioners, emergency managers, and other safety technical experts gathered in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, to discuss a ramification of allowing large quantities of liquefied natural gas to travel the nation's railroads. What resources would be needed, for example, if a train car carrying tons of LNG, a methane mixture cooled to minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit, were to tear open and release this cargo in a major city? What would happen if in a rural area with few, if any, emergency responders trained to handle such an event? There literally has been no communication or coordination with any local first responders, who we put at great risk from the threats of a methane transport accident. There's been no outreach to any municipality within a 200-mile trip from Northeast Pennsylvania to Gibbstown to discuss the issues of transporting this volatile cargo through the various towns. There are no environmental studies on the risk of transporting methane, and I believe there's some federal laws which require it, but nothing has been done at this point. In addition to the health and safety concerns from methane transport, methane leaks pose a significant risk to the climate. Methane is 86 times as powerful as a greenhouse gas as CO2. So in the event of a traffic accident, tank puncture, a valve O-ring failure, remember the Space Shuttle Challenger, a failure of refrigeration, or even, God forbid, a terrorist attack, there would be a catastrophe. Question comes up, what can we do? And the simple answer is simply to organize. Now, so far, over 100 environmental groups have signed on to the lawsuit in federal district court. So have 16 state attorney generals. I'm doing this as a volunteer for Delaware River Keepers. I'm not getting paid for this. This is something that is near and dear to me, and I've been working on it for about a year now. I'm also working in conjunction with the Sierra Club and Food and Water Watch in the Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties. I've also have an outreach to various faith-based environmental and civic groups are also asked to issue resolutions against this. And essentially, I have appointments at a number of other communities. I've got 6 or 7 that I'm working with right now, and there are probably several others that are being handled by Food and Water Watch and the Sierra Club as well. Now, why should this matter to people who are far away from what we call ground zero? Well, because we're all connected, and I like to put it in words that mean something to me. I'm sure it means something to you as well. We are all one soul. We are all one soul. We are all in this together. One of the problems that this can cause is can overwhelm hospitals, and it's such a huge area that it'll make COVID-19 seem like child's play. And you all know what's happening with the hospitals with that. It can destroy critical infrastructure, divert resources away from your town to help in the emergency, and people will have long-term physical, mental, and emotional needs, and reconstruction will be long, difficult, and extremely costly. So what I'd like to do at this point is I've completed my remarks. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'd be glad to answer any if there are any questions here. And I'd like to turn it back to our speaker. And I believe we may have some other people that might want to also share their comments in connection with this as well. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor and Palmyra Council. Really appreciate that.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Steinberg?
Mayor,
Go ahead, Laura. Go ahead, Ted.
my question is, if the council and mayor were interested in the other side, what would be the source of information that they should look to?
The other side, meaning from the company side?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not sure I can answer what their view is. I know they're looking to do jobs. I also know they're looking to make a great deal of money, and I'm all for the capitalistic system. I'm all for union jobs. I have a union degree from labor management relations from Penn State, and I also was a member of a labor union. However, this project is way too dangerous, and I'm not sure I can answer specifically your particular question as to what the other side would put there. I suppose they would talk in terms of the jobs that are to be created, and there will be a number of jobs, quite a number of jobs. And I'm not sure what else they would have on their side to be able to present. I never expected that question, and I thank you for it. I just don't believe I'm capable of talking from the other side as to what their experience is or what they would say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge Farrah Jenkins is on our Zoom. Laura, you had a question?
Yeah, thanks, David, for presenting to us. I just had two questions. One about the proposed timeline for the start of using these rail cars for methane transport. And then the second, to just go back to the probability of having an accident. If you could expand upon that.
Okay. All right. As far as the first one is concerned, as of a few weeks ago, when I was updated on a lot of the latest information, the company had not placed an order with the only company that can build them. Now, whether that's taking place now or not, that I do not know. Let me just expand a little bit on that, then I'll get the information regarding the possible accidents. I'm looking at a target date at sometime in November, where one of the federal agencies, I believe it's a Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. I'm not certain. It might be another federal agency that has jurisdiction over this as well. I believe that there is a deadline sometime in the month of November, which the company can apply to have the have the program, the plans extended. Now, it's my understanding there'll be no public hearing on that. I won't say it's an automatic extension. The company essentially would need to apply to it. So one of the reasons why I'm going to Palmyra and many, many other communities is simply to present these petitions to the federal regulatory agency that is in charge of it, to hopefully that they'll be able to act on that and not extend that permit. That's one way to defeat it. Another way to defeat it, taking a little bit further, but I think it's important I mention this. Governor Murphy last year at the Delaware River Basin Commission, his representative actually voted in favor of this. Since then, he has come out against it, and he said he's going to try to do whatever he can to not issue the permits or require other things such as the environmental review and some other things that I'm not totally aware of right now. Now, to get to the other portion of your question, you asked to expand on the possibility of an accident. And okay, this is never been done before, but by rail and by truck, short distances from where pipeline is to the ship, short distances. You're not talking great distances for that. So essentially, the way I look at it is that the company has 100% of the reward, because nothing is going to be even stay here in the Delaware Valley or the United States. It's all scheduled to be shipped overseas to Puerto Rico, Ireland, and Europe. And we represent 100% of the risk, because as the trains and trucks go through the various communities, then what is the possibility of an accident? Well, we saw in the last couple of days with Amtrak and also pipeline leaking into the Pacific Ocean in California, which we're all probably, if we follow the news, we're all probably aware of as well. So what is the probability of possibility of an accident? It's hard to say. It's really hard to say, but I can tell you this much, that the company has been talking about, now this is the trucks I'm aware of, and it depends on which application as to what information that they give. It varies by a huge margin. In one application, they said they're talking 300 trucks per day. Now they'll be going down, up and down 295 and Turnpike, which is not near Palmyra. On the upper side, they're talking about in the neighborhood of 15 to 1600 trucks per day when it's fully operational. What are the chances of something like that? Well, yeah, accidents do happen. And I can't say what the chances are because I don't know anyone that's calculated that probability. But that's something I live about a half a mile to exit number 3 of the Jersey Turnpike. I live in a senior place in Runnymede, and we have 82 people here, and we have a daycare center next door, and we have lots of schools within 2 miles, both in Belmore as well as Runnymede. And I know that we are at risk. And I've talked to some of my residents, and they're very squeamish about this because we don't know. We just don't know what the possibility is. It could happen the first day. It could happen. It may never happen. How can you really tell? You really can't say for sure. But I would say there's from a technology that they have a few of the trucks. There are very few rail cars that are around. They have to be able to create enough of these. And when it will take place, I do not have a timetable. Company hasn't indicated one. A lot of the information they're hiding behind, quote, national security. That's why we don't even know the particular roads, but it's not hard to figure out because there are only 2 ways in from up there to down here, one through Commodore Barry Bridge, the other through the Pennsylvania Turnpike Bridge to the Turnpike and 295 South. So it's really hard to say.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question. No, pretty much a statement. Thank you for bringing this to us. This is very important. There's a lot of information on this, which we really don't have enough information yet. But to be aware and bring awareness is where we're considering to this is amazing that someone wants to do this and have these trains going through our town at any given time. We don't know right now what's in the train cars that come through our town now specifically, and be aware of something like this is very important. And we're going to dive into this, and I think the Public Safety Committee can really meet with you and discuss a little further, because we definitely need more information on this. This is very dangerous for our little town.
Yes. And I think the person that you said that would want to say something is Councilman Jim Quinn from Riverton. Jim, do you want to say anything? Is he there, Jim?
Yeah, he's muted.
I didn't know whether I unmute me, you unmute me. Because it's very technical, very, very technical. Good morning, good evening, Mayor and Council. David also presented at our Riverton Council meeting.
Good.
And our council ultimately voted in support of a letter of opposition to the proposed Gibbstown Logistics Center project. He asked if I might share what brought me to my decision to support a letter of opposition. This matter was brought to our mayor and council's attention in February of 2021 through an email from an intern from the Food and Water Watch non-governmental agency. As a member of our local and joint Palmyra and Riverton Green teams, as well as the liaison to Riverton's Environmental Commission, I look to consume the data regarding this issue. Marty Levin, who's also on this call here tonight, also is an instrumental member and mentor for the Sustainable New Jersey initiatives who champion environmental stewardship, provided additional research materials. As I consumed this information, I was impacted by a summary paragraph from the DelawareRiverkeeper.org website regarding the proposed Gibbstown Logistics Center. I don't think I can do better than this summary statement. Quote, "This rush to approval is not only reckless, but also will launch a whole new highly dangerous means of transporting LNG overland to terminals that plan to export, where companies can get a lot more return for their buck. The public safety and the environment be damned. The new market means more pollution and destruction from increased fracking, more fracked gas processing plants like the LNG liquefaction plant New Fortress Energy wants to build in Wyalusing Township, Bradford County, more greenhouse gas emissions and climate crises, more devastating health impacts from the shale gas frenzy, and more communities exposed to the dangers of fire and explosion from derailments and accidents." End quote. In a time of our existence, while climate impacts are great, and hardly a day passes without some news stories covering the impacts of fossil fuels and the need to move purposefully towards alternate energy methods, I was compelled to cast my vote in opposition to the proposed Gibbstown Logistics Center project. Thank you.
Thank you. So Mr. Steinberg, what you're looking for us is a letter in opposition.
It's actually a resolution, which I believe I forwarded a copy of what they did, what Councilman Quinn did in Riverton.
Okay. Can we have
if you need another copy? I can provide it for you. It's not a problem.
Now I do have that. President Howard is stating that he wants the public safety to meet, and at that point it can be put on our next meeting and we can have a resolution for you. Does everybody agree with that? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sound good. All right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Steinberg.
May I say one more little thing on this? Councilman Quinn mentioned about Marty Levin being a mentor. I happen to be chairman of the committee for Tri-County Sustainability. Marty is one of my mentors, and he's working with Councilman Quinn, and I believe he'd like to work with you as well when reference to helping you achieve your Sustainable Jersey status.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Mr. Levin, I do see you on this call. I thank you for joining us tonight. We will get back in touch with you with Councilwoman Dr. Craig, and see how you're able to help us because she's in charge of our green team.
Thank you so much. I look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, Jim. All right, that was interesting. Public comment. We request those participants wishing to have or make a public comment, email their question or comments in advance to the municipal clerk, Rita Jackson, at djackson@theboroughofpalmyra.com. The opportunity to submit comments prior to the meeting expired at 12:00 p.m. on October 4th, 2021. Comments submitted in a timely manner will be read during the virtual council meeting. It may be necessary to follow up with persons submitting comments at a later date. All comments will become part of the record and included with the meeting minutes. For those chose to attend the virtual meeting, I will open up the meeting to the public for comments. Comments should be limited to no more than 2 minutes. All comments will become part of the record and included with the meeting minutes. May I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion open to the public.
So moved.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi, Rita, did we receive any public comments?
No, I did not receive any comments prior to the meeting.
Okay, we are open to the public.
Bob Rader.
Hi, Mr. Rader, how are you?
Doing good.
Hi, what can we do for you tonight?
I would like to make a comment.
Okay.
On the borough website, with the agenda and minutes section, there is a statement as follows. Lease notice, semicolon. All agendas are posted in their draft format and are for informal purposes only. A copy of the official agenda can be obtained by contacting the municipal clerk. And a question is, will this statement change the current program that copies of open meeting public agendas are posted on the borough website for public review on Friday before the open public meeting? That's a question.
Right, I think Rita.
Are you referring to a notation that is on the agenda that's in a draft on the website?
No, preceding the list of agendas and minutes, there's this statement with the lease note. And I just want to know what it's for. I really don't understand it.
In the event that the agenda changes, and it can up until meeting time, the official agenda, if we were in the building, you could get an official copy. If you wanted an official copy, then you would have to contact us before the meeting, right before the meeting, because anything is subject to change. So we're giving you all the information and what's on the agenda as of Friday. Okay, most of the time it doesn't change, but there are possibilities when something comes up that must be addressed by council, and it could come up over the weekend or it could come up on Monday morning before the meeting. So they will add that to the agenda. So just letting you know that there's a possibility that there could be changes to what you're seeing as an actual agenda from Friday.
So there will be no changes, and the agenda that's available will still be posted on Fridays before council meetings?
Oh, yeah.
That won't be changed?
No.
Okay, that was my question. I don't think we had one Friday. Oh, I went on like 4 o'clock Friday, unless it was put on later than that. But yeah, that happens very, very seldom. No, I was just concerned that there may be some change to that because it says informal purposes and to get the official agenda. Now, the official agenda, I don't know there's any change to the one that's posted on Friday to the one that's still on that I'm looking at today. But I know during the council meeting, there's changes, additions.
I don't think there were any additions or anything to that from Friday to today.
Okay, it answers my question, so I'll still look forward to having a copy of the proposed agenda on, I guess, close of business on Friday.
Right, it'll be on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes, Mr. Rader, we might switch where somebody comes in or wants to speak, And that is because they told us that they needed to say something and had another commitment. But that
No,
doesn't happen much.
That's been going on for as long. I know it can't be a finalized copy 3 days in advance, but
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that the copy that's available on Friday will be posted on the website on Friday.
Okay.
That was my question.
All right, thank you. Stay well, Mr. Rader.
For your time.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yes, my name is Valerie Still. I've been on the last 2 or 3 months of meetings. I bought my house on Veterans Drive in the village of West Palmyra for my parents in 1991, so I've been here quite a while. The mayor, borough council, borough administrator, and borough attorney are all aware of the situation on Veterans Drive in regards to the flooding on July 12th, 2021. I will not ask any questions about the situation since I haven't been able to really get any answers, and I'm pretty sure that you all have been informed not to respond to my questions. I think that's what was implied the last council meeting. Gina Tate and Ted Rosenberg. I don't know if you all think you can supersede the United States Constitution, but your power doesn't supersede the power of the US Constitution. On our First Amendment rights as citizens of this great nation, this is not about the Borough of Palmyra policy. So, I know I've been stopped or interrupted or warned to, calm down, but the United States Supreme Court case in 1964, New York versus Times versus Sullivan, is a constitutional case law in the country. And the essence of the rule in the Time versus Sullivan is that citizens have a First Amendment right to criticize government officials. And this is founded on, quote, a profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and that it may be well included vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials, quote unquote. That's our constitutional case law in the nation. So I don't have to be nice to you all. I choose to be nice to you all, and no one that comes to these sessions, which aren't many public people right now, and the public doesn't even attend these meetings anymore, but they as well don't have to be nice because that's our First Amendment. My right to criticize or critique your behavior and negligence as a public officer is constitutionally protected. And last council meeting, I got muted. I didn't do that. Somebody muted me. That's a blatant violation of the Constitution as well, unconstitutional censorship. We have a God-given right constitutional right to critique you all, and we can speak in any lawful tone that we see fit. So I would hope that you would stop cutting off tax-paying, law-abiding American citizens. Now, with that said, I would like to address a question that was posed to me by Council Member Bernadette Russell in terms of why I would call the Borough of Palmyra in regards to the overwhelming flooding that happened on my property and in my home on July 12th, 2021, which I can't get any answers about, instead of contacting my insurance company. Wow. I mean, you said you had flooding and the first thing you did was contact your insurance company. Well, Bernadette, I did contact my insurance company that night as soon as I got off the phone with the mayor. But my first insurance I should have as a citizen and resident in the Borough of Palmyra is the insurance that the town where I pay taxes, and in my case, thousands of extra taxes, and where I call home should be of assistance in these types of emergencies, in these types of disasters. Now that you have corrected me, and since the infamous call to the mayor and the follow-up council meetings where I'm continuously being treated as crazy because I just want to know what caused this flooding just here on Veterans Drive, I won't be contacting you all when I have an emergency. But what a sad state our country's in when you as a council member ask the residents, and you did this, that has experienced such a disaster, why are you calling us and not your insurance company? And then never checking on these residents. Not one of us, you all haven't visited one of these residents in this neighborhood that was affected. Bernadette, you also insinuated and you suggested with your comment when you said that you clean out the town's public drains in your neighborhood, that it's an insinuation that I was, I guess, neglectful because I'm not going around checking my neighbors' drains and cleaning to ensure our safety. Well, I can tell you this from fact. When I don't cut the strip of grass on my public curb outside the backyard fence that I don't see on the public curb, I either get a warning or citation. Yeah, a fine. That means dollars out of my pocket. So why do I have to do the job of public works when I'm paying taxes to cover that? I really don't have time. Really, I don't. Even though now I do it because when it starts raining or if rain's coming, my neighbors and I, we really are experiencing PTSD now every time it rains, thinking our homes are going to flood again. And by the way, I also got extra flood insurance that's more dollars out of my pocket as well. I think I may have misunderstood you in the last council meeting. So can you please clarify why tax-paying residents should be cleaning out public storm drains and why residents of Palmyra, the borough of Palmyra, should not contact you all when they have this type of disaster? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else have any comments?
I knew it.
Seeing none, may we close to the public, please?
I caught it.
Motion to close to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have resolutions. We're going to do a resolution as a consent agenda. If there's one that needs to be removed, please let me know when we remove them. It's resolution 2021-196 and 2021-197. Do we need to remove any resolution? Seeing none. Resolution 2021-196 is a resolution of the Borough of Palmyra adopting a COVID-19 vaccine testing policy for employees. Resolution 2021-197 is a resolution awarding a contract to Municipal Emergency Services per quote QT 1509803 per New Jersey State Contact Number 17-Fleet 00819 in the amount of $29,581.22, subject to certification of the CFO. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Almond,
Yes.
Dr. Cloud,
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mrs. McCann,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
yes.
President Howard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public events, the Palmyra Market. I spoke with Mindy earlier today. They're looking at mid-October. Right now, they are having a hard time getting a hold of vendors to come in. Palmyra Halloween Parade. There will be no parade. What we're trying to do is what we did last year, use Santa's route going up and down the streets, and Mindy is trying to work that out. What the committee decided was the main people that would be out watching this parade are children underneath the age of 10 who are not vaccinated. So we did not want to get everybody together to do that. So hopefully next year we will be able to move on with that. Discussion items, Borough Hall staffing reopening to the public, Legion Field Community Center Council meetings, COVID-19 update. John?
Thank you, Your Honor. COVID-19, we continue to post, of course, on our website, the numbers as they come in almost daily as far as new infections are concerned. And, just after I posted through September 30th this morning, later this afternoon, I received another update, as you did, Your Honor, which shows, I think, 3 or 4 more infections just over the last day. So, over the last 6-week period, 63 new infections and 13 probable cases, which is significant, of course. That rivals, again, the height of the pandemic last year. And what's most interesting about it is, at this point, 75% of our residents have received at least one shot. 69% are fully have completed the full.
Vaccinated.
So, it's still a threat. We just try to provide as much information as we can on our website. We greatly appreciate the vast number of borough employees are vaccinated. Not all, however, but we appreciate the policy that you adopted this evening. And unlike the, draconian policies that many companies have drafted where you don't get vaccinated, you're fired, I appreciate that you agree that that is just, going too far, frankly. So we give our employees who choose not to provide proof of vaccination the option to be tested on a weekly basis. So, and of course, there's masks and other protocols in place. So, we're doing what we can to try to open back up to the public as quickly as we can. And all of this, are steps in that direction. That's really it as far as this information is concerned. What I can do, however, since we're on that, and I did just cover proposed mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations as well. If I could skip down, Your Honor, if it's okay, to modified summer hours, quote unquote.
Okay.
Just because it's along the same vein. So we're open every day. All borough staff is required to come to work, come to the office. Everybody works the number of hours they're supposed to work. We're just not open to the public. So we're in Borough Hall doing what we're supposed to do. There are no working from home considerations like we were at the very height of the pandemic, a little over a year ago. But we did have summer hours like we do every year. And what we're proposing is just an extension or continuation of that. Everybody works the same core hours, 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Thursday, 8:30 to noon on Friday. But we also have flex time. Some employees like to come in later, some like to stay later. Rita can never get out of there on time, right? So, that's just the way that works. So, and flexibility with lunch. Employees don't have to take 60 minutes, okay? Rita and I and many others, we never take lunch or seldom, maybe once a week, we just can't get out of the office. So everybody has what we want to try to accomplish with the modified hours. Everybody has to work the core hours. And then to make up the difference are the flex hours, that are laid out in my memorandum. So if you're okay with that, we wouldn't, not that we want to make it permanent, but we want to make it, we want to fix that for the time being, because on a weekly basis, staff is concerned about what their schedule is going to be next week, which of course I can appreciate, right? So we just want to tell them this is what we're going to do for an extended period of time, perhaps until we open, whatever the case might be. So I just wanted your feedback on that situation.
All right, can we deal with that right now? Everybody okay with staying with what we're doing right now? Everybody's good? Okay. All right, thank you. Is there something else that you wanted?
I think that covers everything COVID related, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. The Palmyra Improvement Association request for the facility usage. I have contacted the PIA and made up an agreement that we will open up the community center for the bathrooms. They will have somebody there to monitor, to make sure that they go nowhere else but the bathrooms, and they will be cleaning the bathrooms afterwards.
What event is that? I'm sorry.
That is the trunk or treat.
Oh, trunk or treat. Yes. I was going to question that later. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I see Naomi Caban, our high school representative. Naomi, do you have any type of report for us?
I just wanted to say that sports are back in session, and I'm glad that we're back in the building for school, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the year gives us.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Naomi. Salary Review Committee. That's just there as a holdover?
Well, every meeting I'm hoping to get to this, and I sound like a broken record. The only issue here is the hiring of some of the employees, in particular, in this particular case, it's construction office employees. So, you know, when we're ready to do that, and we're very close, if you've had a chance to read my memo,
Yes.
at that point is when I would come back and just finalize the one employee there that this is in reference to.
All right, great. Grant opportunity, the DVRPC Safe Routes to Transit Technical Assistant Program update.
Yes, myself and some others, our consultants, we had a great meeting with Kwan, who was on a land use board, but also she is a senior planner for DVRPC, and is working with that group and others to bring together a consortium of interested parties about potentially extending a pedestrian bridge over the Pennsauken Creek at the light rail station in Pennsauken to land in our redevelopment area. That is a 7-figure project, and DVRPC is very excited about it. Lots of environmental groups and other stakeholders are excited about that. You know, it extends various walking trails. The creek is the big obstacle for everybody. And, you know, hopefully, obviously, we have the Palmyra Cove Nature Park in town. So we're looking to make that connection, but also a way for folks to be able to take the train and then walk over the pedestrian bridge and go to work, perhaps, or to their homes in the Route 73 South redevelopment area. So that's just a recent update, but Kwan is now putting together a list of stakeholders, and we'll go from there once she's done with that.
That's great. Thank you. The time limited parking, Bill told us about that.
Yes, he did. And
go ahead, Pat.
No, I'm sorry. No,
Okay.
No.
Trash collection with public service and potential in-house collections.
Well, this is distressing. You know, probably, I'm pretty sure most of you have seen the emails that I sent, and, you know, some of the things that have happened. Donna attended a program, as you're aware, in Atlantic City, Donna Kondo, our CFO. And one of the speakers is a gentleman by the name of Gary Smalley. Gary is general manager, I believe, for Republic Services, our trash collection company. He's a big shot at the company. And he gave a presentation about the challenges that trash collection companies are facing. They've had to raise hourly rates to $30 an hour, and they're paying $10,000 signing bonuses. He talks in the one email that he sent me about they tried for 6 months to hire somebody for the back of the truck. They only got one person. You're talking Republic Services. They are a nationwide company. You know, he mentioned at that program, and which is why Donna brought it to my attention, that municipalities can expect 25 to 30% increases in their trash collection bids, public bids. Our contract expires March of 2023. Tangi, of course, you know, has some connections in Delran, brought to my attention that they just recently opened up bids there, only one bidder, which is part of the problem in trash collections. I'm just going to say this, watch The Sopranos, but one bid in Delran, and it was 82% higher than what they're presently paying. So when you factor all of this in, you know, maybe it's time to start thinking about picking up our own trash. You know, it's not an easy task. We have essentially a year and a half before our current contract expires. And maybe that isn't enough time, because another thing that Gary mentioned during his presentation, that there is 2.5 years lead time on new trucks. And Donna did some investigation with regards to that. A trash truck with the type of equipment that we need, you know, side arms, side loaders, is almost $300,000 in today's dollars. But if we're going to do it, or if we're going to seriously think about it, now is the time that we have to consider it. Our contract expires a year and a half We cannot have this a conversation a month before our contract expires, of course. So, you know, I don't know if you want to refer this to committee, keep it on here for continued discussion. But it is something I think that more municipalities are going to have to go to in order to be able to not just control costs, but quality assurance as well. We all know the problems that we go through, that we will go through tomorrow when Republic picks up our trash, right? Linda ought to be getting combat pay for what she has to go through, you know, with just being inundated with the number of phone calls, emails, etc. It's a problem. Are we willing to live with that? I guess is the question.
Well, I think the only question I have, do you know how much we pay them a year?
I do. It's about $190,000.
Okay.
Can we put that to, I'm thinking committee wise, Mayor, I don't want to say public works, but it does fall into public works, right? What do you think, John? I mean, to start doing the legwork, see if we can figure out what's going on, and we got to get on this quick, because they said the lead time for a new truck might be 2 years, 3 years, and doesn't do any good if we can't.
Agreed. We could, I agree, it's public works for sure, because it's our public works personnel and expanded department who will be picking it up. You know, so we could probably bid for, you know, if we didn't have all of our ducks in a row, and this is complicated. I don't want to minimize that. You know, we could probably get a 1 or 2 year extension perhaps on our current contract, or bid that separately. In other words, not a 5-year bid.
Right.
You know, so, but we still have to start planning today. And I want to qualify something. You know, curbside collection is just about $190,000. That doesn't include bulk. That's with the dumpsters and everything associated with that. That is another small fortune in and of itself.
Because isn't it part of it is weight, like how much you bring the truck?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's $190,000 that goes to Republic, but it isn't throwing off what you would be paying to get into the dump.
The tipping fees is what they're called. That's correct. You're not paying for that. Does not include disposal of the waste, but that's a fixed cost, so to speak. You know, we have to pay those fees, right? And we would have to pay them anyway, whether we pay Republic for transportation, you know, for those tipping fees, or pay the county, you know, directly, kind of thing. So that really doesn't figure, because that's, you know, that's like, you know, that's we're going to have to pay that no matter what.
Right.
Okay.
Well, John, and how, for a town our size, how many trucks would we need to make that happen? That's question number one I have. And question number two, is there a company out there, including the company we use now, where maybe we could rent trucks?
I will tell you, renting trucks, Republic can't even get the equipment that they need to outfit their current trucks. They just bought another waste disposal company just so they could get their people and their trucks. They bought it. All right, I don't know at what cost. They bought another company just for that inventory and the personnel. So to answer your first question, you know, we could not, Republic can roll in here with 6 trucks, right, and collect our entire municipality in one day. Well, make an attempt to collect a municipality in one day, because we know they don't. But back in the good days, they could. We could not do that. We would probably have to have separate trash collection days for, you know, various sections, something like that. We've only just started thinking about this, you know, back of the napkin kind of stuff ourselves for a week, 10 days kind of thing. But we would probably need 2 trucks, because you know what happens when you have one, right? You need it tomorrow and it doesn't work. And some number of additional staff. And we would also need the automated collection systems, because we already have an investment in our green trash cars.
Yeah.
That's a less expensive collection system anyway. There are other costs, though, that may be impactful. In municipal government, the most expensive workers' compensation line item is for trash men, sanitation engineers. Lots and lots of back issues, which is why we don't want rear load, the gentlemen and or ladies dumping, trash cans into the back of the truck like they did in the old days. Today's system is a driver in the truck reaches out with an arm, dumps it in the side, less expensive to operate, significantly safer for the operator, less workers' comp. So there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
But today's the day.
John, would it make sense to reach out to the consultant that we used previously who assisted us with respect to the trash contracts?
Yes. They are Trash Pro. They are expert at this sort of stuff. They do prepare they administer our MAX program for trash collection in the apartments like Willow Shores, yes, but I meant to say the harbor. But they also prepare our specifications, Ted, for the bids for trash collection, curbside stuff. So absolutely, yep, we had discussed internally about contacting them as well.
Okay, Michelle McCann, you had a question. Did that answer your question? Wait a second, Farah. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Michelle McCann.
Just curious if any other surrounding towns collect their own trash. Do you know of?
Morristown.
Morristown?
I know Morristown does. I can't think of who else, but I know Morristown does.
Donna actually just told me. I can't remember if she said it was West Hampton or that information just flew out of my head. But we're starting to compile that as well. Morristown does. As a matter of fact, we have one of the sanitation engineers who works for Morristown lives in our community. He appeared at one of our council meetings recently, right? So, we all know him well, so we'll be reaching out to him as well. But there aren't many, frankly, and it is counterintuitive. Insurance companies, municipalities in general want to move away from this sort of thing because it means more employees, workers' comp insurance coverage, health care, health benefits, of course, that have to be provided to these employees, right? It's easier to subcontract, but when the subcontractors aren't available and don't do their job, what are your choices?
Does that answer your question, Michelle? Okay, Bernadette, you have a question?
Yeah, so to follow up on what you were just saying, well, one, does it make sense for a town our size to be doing this? Because to me, unless I have the numbers next to each other, the cost does not outweigh what's going on right now. I get it, we are being impacted. But that increase that you mentioned was crazy. And why does it seem that Republic is the only one that towns are hearing from?
Well, I'll answer that in several ways. First, answer your last question first. Again, I refer you to The Sopranos. Just saying. In this, first, Bernadette, we can't answer that. We can't answer that if it makes sense, financial sense yet for a town of our size to do it, right? I mean, because this is hot off the presses, right? We've been thinking about it now for 7 to 10 days kind of thing. So, there is a lot of work that has to be done, which again is why, we need to start now, and there's people that we need to speak to, etc. So, I guess I'm looking for your permission to start to explore that and just to find out if, to gauge your interest, if that's something that you may consider down the road, assuming it works out financially, of course.
Especially since with the 82% increase of $190,000 is $155,000 increase, which would make it $345,000 That's the price of a truck.
You know,
But we're still not talking the salary, the
Well, that's
health
true,
benefits.
but
Those are things that are coming to mind for myself. So
That's what we were talking about going to committee, and we're starting now so we can have numbers to compare. Yeah, we don't have them now, and I don't think we're making any decisions now. I think John just wants to know, can we compile the data so we can compare this to make sure it's where we want to go?
Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. 202 Cinnaminson Avenue, shipping container.
You know, this is a problem. You know, here's an applicant, appears before the land use board. He has a shipping container in his yard. The application is denied because there are too many accessory structures, period. Application denied. Tracy Kilmer, in her capacity as the zoning official, gives the gentleman a period of time, which was till the end of September, to remove the shipping container. He said, you'll hear from our attorney, and the court date was subsequently delayed until later in October. So what we can do is what we have done, which is issue a court summons. And at that point, it is essentially in the hands of our municipal court team. So, you know, but what's appalling to me is just that. We go through the process that we're all supposed to follow. It is denied. And we can debate, you know, whether that we all have opinions about that decision, but it was denied. And now he's hired an attorney, and we, you know, have to move forward. But in the interim, that cargo container is going to sit in his yard. So I just want everybody to be aware that, you know, we can do our absolute level best and everything available to us under the law. And there it sits in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. 313 Delaware Avenue, trash accumulation.
Similar set of circumstances in that, you know, we had made arrangements to remove all of that trash from that property. I think everybody knows the basic story. The property owner is deceased. A tenant essentially put all of the property owners, allegedly put all of the former property owners' belongings at the curb. And of course, it happened basically on the day that school opened, right? And we were all kind of forced to live with this. It was a strange set of circumstances, given that the tenant admitted that he was there, moved the deceased owner's property onto the curb, etc. We made arrangements to have that collected. On the day of the collection, there was some question about what was legally permissible. And as it turns out, and I'll follow up in writing, as it turns out, we can only remove the material that belonged to the deceased property owner that was placed at the curb. All of that has been removed. The property, however, is still a mess, and has gotten worse over the last number of days. I can only tell you at this point that Chief Campbell, Tracy, and I are continuing to have dialogue about this. And we need Ted's input as well about what the next step is, but not for lack of trying to address that property, which we know and understand is an extreme eyesore.
John, I'd just like to thank you and Tracy and the chief for assisting with this, because a lot of phone calls came out the first day of school thinking that, you know, why don't we clean this up? And our hands were tied. So there was nothing we can do. And look how long it took. School started September, the first week of September. And here we are just getting it cleared. You know, it's not our property, and we can't just go remove somebody's belongings and when a crime was committed.
I agree.
That's essentially the bottom line, correct?
Okay, thank you. The annual Put Safety on the Agenda presentation, Joe Henry of Hardenberg Insurance.
I love Joe, but he's not here, thank goodness. So your presentation is in your packet. I would suggest it's very important, and you should feel free to read that material at your leisure.
Thank you. Veterans Memorial Park. It's good news that they're going to be starting in 2 weeks, Brandon.
2 weeks was, that was the rough estimate that they were given. They hope to start within 2 weeks, and the meeting was last Wednesday.
Okay.
So
and it should be done in 30 days after those 2 weeks it started.
That's what they're saying. Yes,
that's what they're saying. But what I was asked this weekend was, is it going to be done by Memorial Day? I'm like, I'm pretty sure, but
yeah, Memorial. Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I'll get out there and finish it if it's not done by Memorial Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was being very pessimistic when I asked him, and when I asked the contractor, and he said, he wasn't certain. He said, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, and I was like, basically we'll be done this calendar year, and they kind of laughed, and yeah, it would be. But I think now's a really good time for them to get it done and get everything planted in this time of the year.
That sounds great. Thank you for all the work that you've done with that. Yeah. Sewer connection fee ordinance.
This is a requirement that needs to be calculated by our auditor with input from Tangi is our tax collector, and Bill Kirshner is our sewer engineer. So, and this is adopted by ordinance. We should have that revised ordinance in days, I would think. So hopefully we can introduce it in later this month. But this is the fee, and it's and again, this is also regulated by the state, how it's calculated. This is the fee that we charge for new connections to our sewer system. And it's based on financial criteria and data, but also flows through the sewer plant, et cetera. So once we have it, and this is important because we want the redeveloper and anybody moving forward who has to connect to our sewer plant to pay the appropriate amount.
All right, thank you. Sentiments and fire districts charge for service, potential for the borough to change under mutual aid agreement.
This is an interesting set of circumstances, Your Honor. First of all first responders operate under a mutual aid agreement. And Rick Dreby, fire chief, had reached out to me and notified me that Sentiments and Fire District had requested from our police department. They responded to a call in Palmyra that required them to use certain equipment to, I believe, extricate someone who was involved in a vehicle from that vehicle. And they asked the police officer present for that driver's auto insurance company because they intended to bill that person. This is the first time we've had experience with that. Frankly, there is nothing that I can see. I did send it to Ted, and I know Ted will take a look at that.
I saw it, John. I agree with you. We're not compelled to release that information. We have no obligation to assist. That's entirely up to the governing body.
Okay. That's what I was going to, okay. I guess my point then is there's nothing in that agreement that prohibits Sentiments and Fire District from doing that. Is that correct?
They're not allowed to charge us.
Right. They're not allowed to charge us.
It's silent with respect to whether they can charge third parties.
Agree. I agree with that. So I guess the question is, what then comes up in the conversation if, because the mutual aid agreement, which again is sponsored and signed by the county on behalf of, and all first responder organizations participate in that, is that something that the borough of Palmyra would want to consider? Should we consider obtaining the same information if we're able, and I'm not sure what that means given what Ted just said, if we respond to a call in Sentiments and expend some materials during that in service to that call, do we want to pursue potentially billing those insurance companies? And if we do, that opens up a whole new avenue, something that we're not prepared for, that we'll have to. But it certainly looks like Cinnaminson Fire District is going to do that on calls that they respond to in Palmyra.
Just so that it's clear, as I understand it, Cinnaminson Fire District bills everybody. And if there's a third party pay, i.e. an insurance company, the bill is paid via the insurance company. If there is no insurance company, apparently they do not chase after individuals who do not have insurance coverage.
That's exactly what they told Rick. You know, I accept that at face value. But again, I don't know that we have the ability to stop them from doing that.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
However, I think your other point is very well taken. Do we want to adopt a similar policy, which essentially would not cost our residents anything from their pockets?
Well, but I think, first of all, it should be brought up in public safety. But at least I'm believing what I'm hearing is, okay, so if I have a car accident, okay, and I need to be extricated from the car, they bring in Cinnaminson, and since I have insurance, they're going to bill my insurance company. But say somebody from Philadelphia, well, anywhere, gets in an accident and has to be extricated from the car, and they don't have insurance, which they're supposed to, they're not going to get billed.
That's the Cinnaminson model as we understand it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now,
well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. So, okay, I was in a car accident here in Palmyra. Cinnaminson responds and come and get me out the car. They bill my insurance. Can I then in turn sue Palmyra? Because I was in Palmyra. So if I called the police in Palmyra, then I'm assuming that it's the Palmyra police that comes out. And if not, is that misrepresentation? Because that is what is assumed. If you're in Palmyra and something happened to you, you assume that it would be the Palmyra police to come help you.
We have shared service.
Yeah, we have the mutual aid agreement allows all these first responders, whether it's police, fire services, ambulance services, to respond to each other's calls. So
so in that case, could we argue that in that case, they need to follow each town's rules?
There should be some uniformity.
How would that work? You understand what I'm saying? If that's not something we do as a town, then when they come and respond to calls here as a courtesy, you should do how our police department does.
Well, but the thing with that is they can
the same agreement. The mutual aid agreement encompasses every single municipality and all of their first responders are signed.
The thing is, could you see it going the point that, oh, we don't get paid when we go over there, so we're not going?
No, we're obligated to go.
Yeah.
That is an independent requirement of signing the document. We are obligated contractually to go to assist. We don't have to leave our town unprotected. However, if we have the available resources, we are obligated to go. The unanswered question, and Councilperson Jenkins is completely correct, is it was never contemplated in our mutual agreement, that is a county document, that some municipalities would charge. It was just never contemplated.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my question also. That was right. I mean, Councilperson Jenkins hit on right on the news. Like, why don't we all follow the same thing? And we just happen to find out this is what they're doing. Like, that should have been clear in a mutual agreement between towns, because not saying I want to go after everybody who's in an accident and sue their insurance company, but if you're doing that and you're the one that we're using to, use certain equipment. We could buy equipment also and do the same thing. But we were using their equipment because they were helping our residents. To find out that you also on the back end is charging our residents their insurance company.
They're
I'm
gouging
not saying it's not
because not
fair.
only, yes,
I'm not
they're
saying it's not fair.
gouging.
I'm just saying we all should have been included in that because that is a revenue stream that we all may need to have. And that's just not, you know, for a mutual agreement, share services. That's not, you know, I think that wasn't, you know, in good faith on their end.
To be, I guess, perhaps more clear about it, they are not allowed to charge for the service, just as for responding to the call.
Mm-hmm.
What they can charge and what they are charging for are for things that are consumables. In other words, if that person needed first aid and they used this first aid equipment, if there was gasoline in the vehicles, I can't think of any other examples, but those sort of things is what it seems where this is at least going right now, which seems kind of petty, okay, and gouging, but so they could be banging our residents for, coming to our aid, our residents' aid, and we're not charging them, but we're also not charging Cinnaminson residents when we respond in their time of need either.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to look at that in public safety.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So I just had a quick
Go ahead.
follow-up question just to make sure I've got this right. So what if an accident occurred in Palmyra, or let's say it occurred in one of the other towns? What if our people aren't even available because they're already attending another one? Wouldn't another town, isn't the whole point another town would come in to help us in the event our people are not available?
And they do.
That's what the point is, correct? I just want to make sure.
Well, that's shared services.
That
Right.
that happens all of the time.
Exactly.
It is.
The issue for me though is that yes, that happens all the time. But now, okay, I call the police, I get somebody from Palmyra, and then I don't get no charge because our Palmyra department does not charge those fees. Or we, as a borough, however it goes, we don't charge those fees. However, I call the next time, and then and Cinnaminson come, and now I have these fees. And in my mind, hey, I'm already putting my money in the pot to have the police come out and help me. I don't want
Please
to
don't
receive.
charge.
Say that to me again. I'm sorry.
Councilperson Jenkins, I don't believe the police charge. This is a unique aspect that fire department.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. The fire department, same concept. I don't want to have to pay anything additional if they come out and assist me. If the Palmyra people come out and assist me, then I don't have those fees because then I'm gambling with my own life. Then I got to say on the phone, only send somebody from Palmyra because I can't afford another bill.
Won't happen.
That's ridiculous.
That wouldn't happen. They would be sent if there was a need, because that's what the mutual aid. But public safety will take that. What do you have anything else, Bernadette?
No, I just want to make sure I was getting that right because I wasn't 100% sure. So yes, please, thank you.
Okay. The capital projects vehicle purchase on hold. I want to make sure that we all agreed that we were not purchasing any vehicles this year.
Agreed.
Well, let's not say any vehicles, because if we find some garbage trucks, we might have to get that.
Yeah, but that's
True.
not,
Duly
that's not in our
noted,
budget
yes.
this year, right? Yeah, it's not in our
Okay.
budget this year.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to say in reference to that, John? Because that's all we had to make sure, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Your report, go ahead.
Well, we've got a lot of help wanted ads out there, right? And I've provided some updates with regards to this first one, the technical assistant / code enforcement officer. I did provide information about the interviews that Rita, Tracy, and I conducted, and what our recommendation is. And by the way, we can only speak in general terms, right? Nothing specific, certainly no names, because even candidates who may be potentially hired also have to be rice noticed, right? So it has to be very, very general. So I had made recommendations via my confidential email, and I'd like to proceed with that if everybody's agreeable.
Everybody agreeable? Yep, looks good.
So, okay, moving on, Public Works. You know, I had sent out 1 or 2 emails this morning about Public Works. And as Rita said later, we think the ad must have appeared in the newspaper again, because we got, even after my last email to everybody, we received 1 or 2 more applications from Palmyra residents interested in that, in working for Public Works.
Okay.
So, you know, that is great. So we're kind of, you know, back in a holding pattern, because we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to interview all of the eligible applicants. And that is occurring on Wednesday. So, but what I am looking for this evening, a lot of discussion back and forth about 1 versus 2. We have the 1 opening. We're pretty certain we're going to have the 2nd opening based on information that I shared with everybody, and that some of you saw yourselves on Facebook, of course. So at this time, what I'd like to do is pursue the 2 and go from there.
Does everybody agree?
Hey, John,
Go
how
ahead.
many outstanding interviews do you have at this point? It was 1 earlier this morning, but you said some more came in.
It may be 3 now.
2 or okay.
How many, Rita?
It's definitely 2 scheduled for Wednesday, and 1 is a possibility.
So
another possibly 3, but definitely 2.
Okay.
All right.
All Palmyra residents.
We like that. Okay. The part-time seasonal cleaner, Rita, have we gotten any applications?
We have not received 1 application.
I
for
spoke to
the
someone
position.
this weekend, and it should be coming.
Okay.
Can I clarify something?
I've had people tell me that they were going to put them in there, but not 1 application for that position.
Go ahead, John.
You know, the one gentleman who's expressed an interest, Rita is referring to, said he was going to submit an application, also said something to the effect what he expected or what he had heard that hourly rate may be. I just want to remind everybody that we can't pay this person more than we pay our present cleaners. And I'm not going to get into any more detail than that, but you can see our salary. You can go to our salary resolution on our website and see what we pay our present part-time cleaners to kind of, you know, decide on your own where we're at with that.
All right, thank you. Any miscellaneous items? You're good?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, now ongoing reminders. The ordinance is coming for the Legion Field and Community Center. Purchase orders, that won't be till the middle of the month. I did have another conversation with a resident down off of Garfield in reference to the snow and ice removal. We need to take a look at that. Sewer lateral response, that's good. Handicap parking sign ordinance.
This is other, oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Rita had brought up several months ago about potentially streamlining the process for approval of handicap parking sign requests. So that's what this is about.
All right, parking ordinance, additional amendment codes, subsection required.
What the governing body passed was an ordinance affecting time limit parking. There are many other sections to our separate ordinances that affect parking. So at some point, we should look at them and address those as well.
Okay.
Some are every bit as complicated, if not more so, than the time limit. So there is a lot of work ahead of us long-term here.
Okay. Brandon, I'd like to speak to you in reference to the Veterans Affairs Committee ordinance. We'll get together the next 2 weeks. Accessory structure, cargo container, zoning, land development ordinance amendments. That's something that we will be working on.
Tracy is working with Jim Winkowski, Land Use Board Engineer, to put together a draft. Once or an outline of what it is we're trying to accomplish there. Once we have that, we'll get it in ordinance form for your consideration.
Oh man, thank you.
Mayor, before we move on, can I ask John one question?
Sure.
This I should have maybe asked this back in the miscellaneous area, even though this is far from miscellaneous. John, do you think we could speak this week in regards? So I had a couple of seniors in the community speak to me regarding how their sewage is calculated, and they shared some things, some ideas on what they would like to see and how it's calculated and so forth like that. And I would like to touch base with you on that.
Of course. Anytime.
All right, thank you. All right, Mayor, Council, Committee reports and comments. Bernadette, let's start with you.
So our committee met last week discussing one of the big things is having somebody in or getting the people in place in the code department, because without that being in place, it's very difficult for us to follow up. So that's been a huge obstacle. So I was going to reach out to you to see what you were going back to the signs one, what you were referring to, because again, without the person there to enforce the codes that we already have on book, it's really difficult for us to make any changes or make updates. I had proposed some and there wasn't any clear.
Okay, we will get with the chief because I did see the S1 officers out on the street this weekend. It was great to see. They were at the Legion, they were at the firehouse, and I think we need to sit down with Chief with Public Safety, which we're going to be getting a meeting together to see exactly where we want them, when we want them, so on and so forth. So we will have enforcement with that once they get acclimated with everything that they need to do. But it was great to see that they were out there in uniform and walking.
Awesome. So that would be, that's at least a plan B for it, for enforcing our codes. So that's fine for the parking and everything. Are they going to also be available when we have major storms to enforce snow removal, which goes back to one of the things that you were referring to a
That
few
would be
moments ago.
code enforcement rather than the S1 officers.
Well, that's what I was referring to. So you had mentioned the
okay.
S1, so I didn't realize that that's what. Okay, so no, I was specifically talking about the snow and the sidewalk, which would be under code, and without having somebody in place for that on a full-time basis, or however it is the direction that we seem to go, it has been very lax in our town.
Well, the resident was complaining about was how it's piled at the end of the street. So we will see what we can do in reference to allowing pedestrians to walk right after a snowstorm, that it wouldn't just be piled on maybe all sides of the corner. Maybe it will just be piled on one side of the corner because there isn't much room to put some of the snow, but we're working on it.
It still goes back to, that's been Mr. Clark's. I know the Clarks have moved out of Palmyra since, but that's been his biggest concern since I've pretty much have been on council, has been the way the snow has been put up. Even if it's at only one corner, you still have the issue of people crossing at the streets if they're either hearing him, any kind of impairment to get through an intersection with the snow piled up is a problem. So, one of the suggestions I had put out there was, if the corner residents took ownership for that, but a lot of our corner residents, not a lot, but many of our corner residents are rental communities. So how is that then relayed to the people who live there? So there's,
Well, I always thought it was the corner residents, as you well aware. I mean,
That's fine.
I'm on a corner, and I was informed that we had to make sure that the handicap was dug out also.
That's true, but that's not what, that's fine. It's the street that's the issue. So if we have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There is no requirement for residents to clear the corner. As far as the street, remember, I think it's important to keep in mind the mission. We plow streets to promote vehicular traffic. In particular, our primary concern, the reason we plow, is so emergency vehicles can access those roadways and get to every neighborhood that they need to get to. Our crews are driving snow plows. There is no ability for them to jump out of the truck at this intersection and clear that corner. The snow will never get plowed. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think it's very important that everybody understand exactly, they don't have unrealistic expectations. It's just, we have this many resources. How do we clear those intersections? And where do we put the snow? Keep in mind, the very first person that parks in the street within 3 houses of the corner, we all know what happens.
Yeah.
You can't even get to the corner. There's just nowhere to put that snow. These gentlemen are driving big snow plows.
And that's what we have discussed. So I'm not sure what Mayor was referring to as to, coming up with a solution. We've talked about this, like I said, for the last easily 3 years, trying to come up with an alternative.
And we're always up for suggestions. And I don't have an alternative right now to give you, Bernadette, but we are looking at all alternatives for it.
Mm-hmm. And the only one that I could come up with, and I looked at a lot of other towns, was if the person who was on the corner, the homeowner on the corner, was responsible for clear passage out too. And that's if we wanted everybody to have access, walking access. I know some people need to walk to the train, but again, John mentions that the primary focus, and thank you for saying that because that is the truth, that's been guiding us along, is for emergency vehicles getting around our town.
Bernadette, can I just ask a question? I just want to make sure I'm clear. So your suggestion is to have the corner owner clean out to the street? Is that what you're saying?
No, that was one of the suggestions that we talked about in committee, if you remember. And we said that one of the things that we ran up against was that a lot of the corners were rental properties. So then somehow that would have to be incorporated into their rental agreement. And
okay, so you're saying how are we going to enforce the landlords to
follow up on that? Exactly.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Bernadette?
No, that's all I had. I did go to the harbor meeting last month. So I know Tim went this month. So I think I don't remember if we did committee reports last month because of the way the dates went. So,
right.
And it was mostly about the yard sale. So that was it.
All right. Laura.
I have no comment.
All right. Let's go, Brandon.
No comment this evening.
All right. Michelle McCann. You can't hear you.
Yes, I have some shout outs again from the past 2 weeks. The Beer Fest at the fire station was awesome. There were a lot of unfamiliar faces, which I thought was cool. There were some familiar faces. The band was great. The beer was great. And it was a very nice event. And I actually on my list have also this S1 officers were there talking to residents, which was very cool to see. So that was part of it. The Temple Boulevard project, I know there's some things going on, but we call it the poop station, but that's not what it's called. The pump station has been cleaned up. So it looks a lot better than it has in this past summer. So that's good news. I'm sure the residents are pleased with the cleanup over there. And also just taking notice of the Broad Street and other Palmyra businesses, like a lot of hustle and bustle this weekend as I was downtown and walking around. So it's very nice to see. That's it.
Thank you. Farah.
No comment, but Mayor, next time I want to go before Michelle.
Okay. Tim.
I can't think of what it. Ted, can you help me out here? I was at the harbor, their meeting this month, and they had an insurance company, their insurance company, come and speak about tort claim. That's what it's called, tort claim.
Okay.
I knew it would come to me. What they want their residents to do is pick up the insurance for tort claiming, where they won't be sued for some of the trip and falls or minor things, or if they go with this insurance process for tort claims. They brought that to their board and a couple of members that were there, and now their next step is going to, and I don't know if Chief Dribby is on. Chief Dribby, is he on?
I don't see him.
Okay, because I think he could really, speak more on that. But I think that's they really have to have, I think it was, I don't even have my notes with me, I'm sorry. I think it was a large number, it might have been 50% of them have to agree to this, or it might be more than 50% have to agree to go this way for this claim, to use this type of insurance. And to get all their residents, which is 5 or something residents, to all agree on that, which is half of that, is 250, is a hard thing to do. But they're working on a process trying to come through with that. That's what that meeting was about. They're going to have another meeting this month to come up with a process, if everybody does, is how to get the communication out to everyone. So hopefully I can get Chief Dribby on the next meeting and explain that in a little more detail. I was out of town this weekend, but I know we had a great turnout for memorial service for one of our longtime residents. And I know some people on the call might have been there, might have heard about it, but that's a big showing of a longtime resident who's from Palmyra High School, lived here. His son, his son's graduated Palmyra High School. So there are 3 or 4 generations, and people from all over turned out for Mr. Grimes. And I think that was a great showing of what our town's about. When you're born and raised here and you don't know how many lives you touch, the big thing now is people say, the quote unquote, give your flowers now to people and appreciate them now, which is a big thing to do now, I think so, because a lot of people appreciated him, and 300 something people showed out. And just think about moving forward to give the flowers to anybody you come in contact with and you appreciate, you love and care. And he's making Palmyra a better community. That's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to say ask the Chief before I go. Chief, do you have anything that you want to say?
No, thank you. We're also excited, though, just for the class 1s being out. I'm glad everybody saw them out and about and got to hopefully meet them. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. I wanted to say I did attend 2 weeks ago down at the harbor. They do every 2 to 3 months a supper club. And there was about 70 people from the harbor. You have to be invited by a harbor resident. And it was a good time. They used a caterer from Riverton. It was ribs and chicken barbecued. It was very good. I did check, so just check to see that I think the next one will be Christmas. They were talking about a brunch. I checked on the stop signs, and those stop signs in the other town we were talking about have been up since 2017. They have gone through the NJ dot to get them, and it took them years. It was one determination of one employee, longtime resident of Riverton, to get that done. So nothing has been put up recently, and told that you have to go through New Jersey dot. David Steinberg, I wanted to thank you. If he's still on, nope, thank you. That was very, very interesting. The Halloween parade, like I stated, we are not having the parade per se down Broad Street. And they're trying to get through town like we do Santa Claus, which Santa Claus will be the first Friday of December. I've already spoken to him and he's looking forward to it. So that would be on the 3rd of December will be Santa Claus. But the PIA did want to do the Scarecrow contest along with the Halloween committee. So the flyer should be out. I will send one to the borough to be able to get that on our website. And just like we did last year, you get a post and you put up a scarecrow. Also, guys, I know I'm hoping that everybody saw Mindy's outdoor liquor information. Please, if not, read it so we can look at that again, because we need to get moving on that. I also been contacted by Habitat. Palmyra has been awarded an award for the partnership with Habitat for affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization program. On the 15th, they want someone from the borough to sit on a round table and I guess explain how we got 4 houses built by Habitat in the past 4 or 5 years. But that was very, very exciting news. I also attended the Beer Fest, which it was very, very well attended. We had a good time. I guess that's the only thing on my list then. I'm done. Yes, Tim.
I missed last meeting. Where are we at with the ordinance for the fields and everything? Are we going on to first reading at the next meeting in November, or this month we're going to first reading in October?
That was up to you guys. I would imagine everybody, it was sent out to everybody.
Right.
And anybody who had any type of changes or anything that they wish to see on the ordinance.
I didn't get any emails from anybody, so I assume that
everything would be good then. So next meeting, can we do that for first reading?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can have that up and running in December, the first meeting in December afterwards.
Thank you.
Correct? If first reading is
no, October.
If it's in October, then the second reading would be in November. So
we won't.
December.
We'll be having that second meeting in November.
That's a governing body.
Oh, right. Well, we probably. Well, I don't know. I forget. I thought we decided on dates in the beginning of the year, so I don't know what we did on that date.
Okay, there will be a second meeting in November. It will be on the 15th.
Right. Okay.
Okay, we're good. So if we do the first reading next meeting, and then it would be the second meeting in November that we could have a public forum.
And then it would be effective as of January 1st.
January, correct.
Thank you.
That's what we're trying to get, right, Tim?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any other questions? Now, Ted, do we have anything for closed session?
Yes, Your Honor, we do. It is potential litigation and or contract negotiations.
Okay, thank you.
I had one follow-up to one of the things that you had just said. Well, actually 2. One was about the stop sign. So how does Palmyra do what Riverton did?
You have to start with a traffic control by the engineers to see how much traffic goes through. They would be putting together the whole application and then sending it to the NJDOT.
Okay, so that was my
stop
question.
Signs where? Where are we doing stop signs at? We're talking about stop signs at what location? So public safety can get on top of that and move forward with how we get
They
this
were from last time's meeting. I don't have the intersections off the top.
Right. Oh, that's what you're talking
So
about.
that was a conversation that was brought.
That
So
is
one of the things that I had said, and that's just perspective, They may have been working on them since 2017, so we don't know the behind the scenes process going on. So I had asked about the behind the scenes, what does it take then to put the stop signs up?
If I may, if I could interject, I'm very familiar with the process.
Right.
We went through this process, if you recall, for the four-way stop sign, flashing stop sign
At
at
Charles Street.
Park and Charles Street, right over by the grade school. There are no shortcuts. That was very expensive. We have to engage our traffic engineer to study that. And all of the decisions are based on traffic safety. So that is also a very expensive process. So it's like, if you're interested in putting a stop sign at this particular intersection, you then have to authorize the process would be get a proposal from our traffic engineer. ERI has traffic engineers on staff as our municipal engineer. They could undertake the study. It's time consuming, it's expensive. They come back with recommendations and that's it. I mean, the recommendations, there is criteria that the state specifies. The recommendation or the criteria may not even warrant a stop sign. So you have to understand that going in. Just because you want a stop sign doesn't mean you get it. It is based on very specific conditions at that intersection.
Well, I do recall when the former chief had done it at Morgan. I don't know if it was Morgan and Broad or one block in something, 4th and Morgan, was it? That he did go through all of that. But if you go over, a block or two into Riverton, it's actually a couple more than that. It is amazing the number of stop signs that have appeared. And I'm going to stop there.
They've been there since 2017.
Well, I don't know what Riverton does. I
understand that, but I just found one today that was new. So,
they could be also replacing
them
properly authorized,
possibly, absolutely,
stop signs, right? So there could have been one there, went through the process, and they just put a new one in place of a faded stop sign, or perhaps it fell down, or they took it down a year ago, whatever. As long as they have gone through the appropriate process specified by NJ dot, that's the criteria.
Okay. And then you also mentioned Mindy's email, which I have reached out to our team about that, addressing that. So just to follow up on that one.
Well, if anybody else has seen that email and have any comments, please get it to Bernadette.
Send it.
So we can get moving with that. Okay, can I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Whoa, that's the resolution.
Oh.
Resolution. Ooh.
Yeah. Close. Yeah.
Okay, resolution 196.
198.
198. To go into closed session in reference to litigation and contracts.
It's a resolution excluding the public from certain meetings pursuant to Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, C 2231 PL 1995, for matters relating to litigation and contracts.
Thank you. 1975. Okay, thank you.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. We're all
Mr.
in favor?
Ahmed?
Yes.
Dr. Cloud?
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Mrs. McCann?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
President Albert?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on television.
I wish I knew. I actually ended up sitting here working while you guys were having the rest of your meeting.
Forgot about the Cowboys game.
What was that, Tim?
Don't think I forgot about the Cowboys game. No, I'm not gonna
Cowboys.
say that right now. I'll wait till we're having some libations, then I'll bring it up.
Yeah. Unbelievable. They look good though, Tim.
All right, where we at, Rita? Rita, you're on mute.
Ted, do we have to do that by resolution or what are we doing? You're on mute.
Ted, you're on mute.
The title of the resolution would be a resolution authorizing.
Whoa. First, we have to open back up.
May I have a motion to open to the public?
The mood open the public.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ted,
The resolution would be titled, a resolution of the Borough of Palmyra authorizing the solicitor and the administrator to negotiate with Think Pavers, Inc. regarding liquidated damages and other contractual claims. And in the event of an impasse, to pursue other legal remedies.
that's 2021-198.
199, right?
I thought it was
199.
199.
Oh, it was 199.
Yeah, 198 was the go into close.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right,
Tired.
may we have a motion to adjourn?
No, first, we need the resolution.
Motion
All
to
right.
approve resolution 199, authorizing John and Ted to negotiate with Think Pavers, Inc.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Rahman,
Yes.
Dr. Cloud,
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mrs. McCann,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
Yes.
President Howard.
Did he say yes? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good
Good night,
night.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Night.
All right.